The next step is to explore Symbology and some of the other tools that we have in Spatial Analyst for working with grids. If we right-click and go to Properties for this particular DEM, the default for when you bring in a continuous surface is stretched, and we want to classify this into ranges of values that we typically associate with elevation. This DEM, it goes from essentially 0 or just below 0 to almost 900. So I'm going to show you how to classify this grid and represent it in intervals of 100. So the default symbology for a continuous surface is stretched, and it's a beautiful way of representing continuous data. And there are many different color palettes that you can select. If you recall, if I right-click right on this arrow and uncheck graphic view, it tells me what the rationale is behind these different color palettes. And I'm going to select elevation 1, and I'm going to turn that back to graphic view and apply just so you can see what that looks like continuously. But what we want to do is classify this into ranges that go from 0 to 1 up to 900. So because we want to capture the 0 and the 0 to 1 as well as the 9 other classes, 1 to 100 to 900, we want to classify this with 11 classes, and I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to click on Classify, and I'm going to change this. Before I change from natural breaks, I'm going to force it to do 11 classes, and I'm going to select Manual. And now I have breaks in here, break values that I'm going to force into the classes that I want. So I'm going to select 0, 1, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, and 900. And you may have to go back and force the break value to be that range that you want. So now I have 0 to 900, and these lower classes take care of the values that are just below 0 and up to 1. So if I click OK and apply, now I have a classified grid that the lower values, it goes from 1 to 100, 200, 300, up to 900, and I can manage my 0 values, which are water, symbolize them separately. Before I do that, I want to go to Label, and I've just clicked on my label here in Symbology, and I want to format my labels, and I really want to make sure that I don't have so many decimal places. We don't measure things out to that many significant digits, so we want to make sure that we're as accurate as possible, and we still don't measure these out to the centimeter, but I'm going to just put it out to 2 decimal places. I could even be a little bit better and go to Format Labels and maybe make it 1 decimal place. We don't want to give a false sense of precision that we don't have. In this case, we could even just go to no decimal places. So we have the elevation in this range, and if I click Apply, my label is reflecting anything that's below 100 and so forth. Now what I can do is change my colors, so I can actually edit the colors that are in the lower values and make those blue. So if I apply that, I have sort of an essence of water. I can also go back into my label and format my labels. Whoops, I can edit my labels so that this is 1 to 100 and this is 0. So you're just forcing those values to better reflect what the representation is. And if I wanted to go back and pick one of these color palettes, color schemes from before, and select, say, elevation 2, I can still force my lower values to be blue, and I can hit Apply and OK, and now I have elevation values typical of elevation in ranges that are typical of elevation.